Welcome to the 010 podcast, where Dr. Josie and Andy connect to create honest, playful, and authentic conversations about everything you may need to know to live a vibrant, healthy, and wholesome life. Here we go. Here we are 010 podcast. We have a guest today, and so we'll introduce her in a moment. But I just wanted to say, if you hear motorcycles behind me, that's because there really are. We've got a taxi service outside of the hostel in Thailand. So I'm in Thailand today and have been here for a couple of days. I went and visited the city yesterday, and I didn't do a lot of touristy things yet. I just tried to figure out where things are, but it's a busy, booming little town, or big city, actually. It's a very big city. Met some friends through an app. So it's amazing how connected the world is. Like, this is just through an app on Hostel World, but I was able to connect with some other people who are solo traveling. And we met up and walked around the city yesterday and didn't know who they were. One's from Italy, one's from France, and one was from Australia. It was just insane. So I had
That's
a little,
so cool.
I know, I had a guest, friends,
So cool.
that we met over coffee and then walked around. So went and saw the markets. The amount of produce they had, it was warehouses of produce. Just walking through, and you could smell the ginger and the lemongrass, and it just smelled delicious. Yeah, just learning the culture a little bit in Thailand. So if you, I've got people that, I don't know, it's 1:30 in the morning here. So I've got people that are walking in and out of here, which means they might have been out on the town. It's definitely a nightlife kind of city. So so far they've been pretty quiet, so it's been good. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So just a little check-in on my whereabouts these days. So I want to introduce Rayann now. So Rayann is coming to chat with us. She's a jack of all trades, it seems like,
Yes.
when it comes to her work, but also personal life. I feel like I've learned new things about you all the time. So I'll let you introduce yourself and talk about you and what you do these days.
Yeah, so I'm Rayann. I'm a massage therapist and an esthetician at Karma Vita, and I love it. I love it so much. I like being able to do a little bit of everything here. I always tell people, yeah, I'm a jack of all trades. Like, if it's on the menu, I probably do it. Um, yeah, it's always fun getting to do different things and switch up my schedule. I have people ask me all the time, like, what my favorite service is, and it's such a hard answer or a hard question to answer because my favorite day is a blend of everything. Because otherwise, like, if I'm doing massage every single day, get tired, my body hurts. Or if I'm doing waxing every single day, all day, I get sweaty. Like, if I'm doing a lot of waxing, I get so sweaty. I don't know how people do it from start to finish, but I like a blend of it all. But yeah,
Can I
I live
interject
here
here?
in Bismarck. Yeah.
Um, the reason I just wanted to mention the reason that we've invited Rayann on today. Of course, we want to hear about how interesting her life is, but Josie, we had some of Josie's girlfriends. We had a going away for now party for her before she left, and one of the gals at this gathering, asked me about hair removal, and we just got into the whole conversation, kind of got into myths about hair removal and different types of hair removal and what works better than others. And so someone said, hey, that'd be a great topic for your podcast. And so here we are. So Rayann was nice enough to join
Yep.
us. And, yes, as the owner of Karma Vita, I know things about hair removal. It's my job to know about them, but I don't do it every day like Rayann does. So she is really one of the experts here. So we're going to ask her some questions so she can clear up some myths and maybe give us some directive as far if you're curious what's the best form of hair removal for you. Rayann's
Okay.
gonna answer some of those questions and give her thoughts on that. So Josie, as a layman, is that right? What
The
what
oddball out here.
what kind of questions do you think women have about hair removal?
Oh man. Okay, so little backstory on this. It kind of started because I mean, I'll ask them like I need the information for myself, right? So I used to get waxes and it was so painful and I would swell up and I would bleed and all the things for like 6 months. I did it every month. They said it would get better, never did, right?
You're
So
a
then
trooper. I would have
I,
given up.
well, okay,
What type of waxing are you talking about? Just so everybody knows.
it was just a
Oh
hot
yeah.
wax that I knew
I mean,
about.
are you talking, what area of the body are you speaking
Oh,
of?
bikini,
Yeah.
Brazilians,
Okay.
Brazilians. Okay, good point.
Yeah.
Brazilians. I was trying to get ready for summer. Like I was, I was ready for that. And so, yeah, I tried and decided that it just wasn't for me. So then I went back to shaving and then went to laser hair removal and we can get into that a little bit more in my experience on that. But so first off, what would be some causes of why I would
Why
get
that all
so
happened?
hot down there?
Well, temperature wise, I mean, waxing, obviously, it's going to be uncomfortable. We are ripping hair out of your body. There's going to be some level of pain to it. It's not going to be easy breezy, beautiful, cover girl kind of stuff. It's going to be uncomfortable the first couple times, probably. They have numbing creams and stuff out there. I don't use them. I don't know if they work all that great, but some
I
people
tried.
like them.
I tried it.
But so yeah, with the discomfort with it, like most people will get like hot and sweaty during their service. Like it's so common. People get so self-conscious of the little like butt sweat that's left on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like when it comes to Brazilians, yeah, like they get hot. So they start sweating and people get embarrassed by that. But no, that it is super, super common. Like
Oh, good.
I'd say yeah, like 4 out of 5 clients that happens to.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, with the swelling and stuff, like and the bleeding, so pinpoint bleeding is okay.
Yeah.
Especially the first few times. That's where the hair follicle is getting damaged, and it's technically a good thing. It just means that hair is less likely to come back. We damaged the follicle so much that it has that pinpoint bleeding now. Um, but if you're like, I've heard horror stories of people like herring from a wax. That's not okay. That's not supposed to happen. There is a very big difference between pinpoint bleeding and herring. Um, did you ever have skin lift? Did that ever happen?
Can you explain what that is?
So it's essentially when wax is either too hot for the client that it peels a layer, like so when we go to pull the wax off, it lifts a thin layer of the skin off. So it's basically like having I don't know, how would you describe that, Andy? Like not like an open wound, but
Yeah, kind
I
of.
don't know. It's just extra sensitive in that spot.
Yeah. I
Or
mean,
when you
that's
get a sunburn and you peel that skin off when you're not
Okay,
supposed to peel it, does that make sense?
got it. Like, so it'd be it's a burn, essentially.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very fresh skin underneath where yeah, that layer of skin that shouldn't have lifted off does. But yeah, hopefully that didn't happen to you. Again, you sounded like you
this is
went
so
through
long
some
ago.
things.
It may have a little bit, but I think most of it was, yeah, it was more like a rash that was so um hot and like you could see it was pinpoint bleeding. I think that was a thing.
Hmm.
And then it was, like raised rash, um, because it was irritated.
do
Yeah.
we do you
Um,
do you see
And
Josie, do you see Rayann's screen is frozen? Or is that
no,
just me? Okay. Then we'll just
no,
keep
it's all
going.
good.
or my
Okay. Okay. So, then after that, like, what is something like, is there a way that you can help yourself during a Brazilian to like minimize
The discomfort and
the
the pain.
discomfort. Like, is there something
Yeah.
like, to do with, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so yeah, you would, okay. What did you ask about
I
again?
asked about like if there's anything that you can do to help mitigate the aftermath of a Brazilian.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, during it, like to help with just the pain of like getting the wax strip pulled off, I usually help people with like their breathing. So, like, okay, take a deep breath in and then like tell them when to breathe out as I'm pulling the strip. That usually helps to alleviate pain there. And then plus, like, your technician should be applying firm pressure immediately after. That helps dissipate the pain. If it's still uncomfortable, like when you leave the building, um, does anything that'll take down inflammation, essentially. So, like an ibuprofen. I won't. Yeah, thing. Cool compress.
Yeah.
That'll help. Um, if someone does happen to lift, um, again, the technician should tell you your skin lifted. Here's what to do afterwards. But like even something as simple as like Aquaphor in that spot. Um,
Aquaphor is what?
well,
I don't know
it's
what else.
like that. It's just like an over-the-counter. Uh, what is that? I don't know what the term for it is called.
And it's kind of like
Soothing
Vaseline.
Okay.
material. Yeah.
Okay.
It just puts a like a nice thick layer over top of
Mhm.
that like fresh skin in case it did get damaged. Um, yeah.
What
Other than
about,
that,
well, hydrating would be one, and like making sure you're
yes,
hydrated, right? Probably before
doing
you come
things to
in,
yeah,
like making
and
sure
doing
you're
things to
hydrated.
avoid aggravating it. That's another huge thing. The aftercare is so important.
Okay.
Because people, people still like to go tanning. That's a big no-no for the first for this all applies for the 24 hours after getting waxed. Do not go tanning. It is going to hurt. You are going to burn. It's very uncomfortable. That skin is so sensitive. Like, treat it like it's already a sunburn. Like, baby the heck out of it. Um, and then, like, I always tell people don't take a super hot shower. Anything that's going to make the skin hot. Don't go work out. Wear looser clothing if you can in that area. Anything you want to avoid, like friction on the skin in that spot, because again, you're creating irritation. So yeah, all those things help alleviate and prevent any more irritation that could possibly happen.
And we've talked a lot about the Brazilian piece.
Mm-hmm.
Is that for all other areas of the body too? Like if you're
Yeah,
gonna get your armpits
yeah,
waxed,
anywhere you're getting waxed. It's just the Brazilian. Obviously, it's a bit more sensitive there.
really is, really is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't know, Andy, anything, other
Yeah.
questions on that?
Yeah, I have thoughts. Just being that we've come into these situations
Okay.
often where, I think when you're a technician and you're learning, things can happen, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
However, I always just tell people to choose carefully what technician that you go to. If they have the proper training and they're just new and learning, that's fine. But a lot of technicians don't have the proper training. And that's where you get into some of that trouble with like lifting. It's pretty rare you're going to lift somebody if you have proper technique.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does it
this is
happen?
all
It does
horror
happen.
story, but
Yeah. It happens even if you're I mean, even I don't care how long you've been doing it, you come across a guest who either isn't honest with you about medication that they're on, isn't honest with you about topicals that they're using, like topical retinols. Those are all going to make the skin thinner, so more likely to
Mhm.
lift.
So like your
Skin
face.
barrier is compromised, yes,
yeah.
right. But there are even medications that people use that will make them more susceptible to those types of things anyway. We saw after COVID, we saw a lot of things like that because of rumor has it because of vaccines. So people were much more sensitive to, or just COVID, long haul COVID or whatever. So we even an experienced technician can come across things like that. But honestly, that's really very rare.
Hmm.
So if you have like when you right away when you said you went six, like would you say maybe 6 times and you had trouble every time? I don't know who your technician is, and I am not cutting them down at all. But to me, that sounds like probably technician error, but I don't know that for sure.
Right.
Rayann, would you maybe agree? I mean, it's hard to say
No,
obviously, but
I would
like,
agree with it. That's
yeah,
what,
six times is probably like 5 times too many for that kind of a
Okay.
yeah,
reaction.
that's why I said that I would have bailed if I were you. I was like,
Yeah,
you held out way longer than I would have. If
yeah.
it happens more than 3 times, like in a row, I'd be like, I'm washing my hands, walking away, finding
Yeah.
Oh,
someone new.
yeah. Story of
Yeah.
my life, guys. No, just
Well, now you can just help other people learn and grow from your
that's
experience.
right. That's
You're
right.
very gracious. Um, but let's talk
Okay, I do
about
have
like,
one more question.
yeah.
So like later on, ingrown hairs. Like what's happening with
Hmm.
that if people are getting ingrown hairs, like in between sessions?
Yeah, so that comes from typically it's improper aftercare.
Okay.
So again, it's first off following all of those things that I initially said about like within the first 24 hours, that can contribute to those ingrowns. But then I always recommend people to do some kind of exfoliation down there. We have a couple products that I always recommend to my clients. Even your order of how you shower can make a difference. If you're like using your conditioner as your last step in the shower and it's rinsing off your body and it's sitting on that skin, it's going to cause those clogged pores and can create those ingrowns. Um,
Interesting. I never
so
thought
yeah,
about that.
like I know it can be so many things like that. So that's why I tell people like if you are like experiencing that and you are doing the exfoliating part of it, like because then we can usually troubleshoot and figure it out. Um, but oh yeah, like making sure that skin is hydrated too, that can also be a part of ingrown. So it sounds weird to say like exfoliate, but hydrate. There's a difference than just like slapping on any kind of lotion on the skin because again, not all products are created equally. Some of them can create the ingrowns where some of them are going to help get rid of those ingrowns. And again, that's all in my little speech that I give
Yeah.
people during their service.
One of my favorite things that you guys, and it was not for my downstairs, it was the birch water. I don't know, like that just seems so relaxing and cooling. And I'm sure there's more than just I think it's what's in the product. I don't know what's in that product for sure, but I could feel that on a sunburn on my face or on my chest or anywhere I would put that on, and it felt so nice. So I don't know.
We do recommend that for people after waxing in the bikini area. And
Yeah.
Rayann, right, you use
Yeah.
it in the treatment room after a wax, correct?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yep. The
yeah.
pineapple tonic I use for like that's my exfoliant to like seal up, clean up the skin, and then birch water, that's my second one, and that one's to add more of that hydration back in and like calm the skin down more. But yeah, that's a nice
Nice.
one.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Cool.
Rayann, what other let's talk about, why don't you talk a little bit about other types of hair removal, not just waxing. So obviously people can shave at home. But you offer threading services, not in the bikini area, but talk
Not
about
in the
threading
bikini area, no.
and like dermaplane and maybe some of the misconceptions people have about facial waxing. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll touch on laser at the end a little bit too.
Yeah. So with threading, not super common in our area here. I don't know why people don't offer it. I love it. So what it is it essentially looks like sewing thread. The one I have is it looks like sewing thread, but it's infused with aloe, so it's just nicer against the skin. But what it does is it wraps the technique wraps the your hair in between the threads and like rapidly plucks out the hair. So we're pulling the hair out by the root still. It's just the thread is doing the work. But yeah, I like it personally more than waxing for myself. I break out really bad from wax on my face. Everywhere else, I'm fine, but my face, for whatever reason, it's not a fan of the wax. So it's a nice option to, again, I don't want a unibrow, so I need something to get rid of that hair. So threading is actually, that's why I got into doing threading, is because I couldn't wax myself. It's a lot more gentle on the skin, in my opinion. People who are on medications, like Accutane, like they can't wax. That's a big no-no for Accutane users. So threading is another option for those people. I can get really, and you can do this with wax too, but I can get really, really close and a nice, clean line for your brow. I can go over an area more than once, where waxing, you can't do that a ton. But yeah, I really like threading. You can do, well, really you can do it anywhere there's hair, technically. But I do it brows, lip, and chin as an option. I know some people will do a full face. I don't offer that, but yeah, I'm a fan of it.
How
And then,
similar is that mechanism to just plucking with tweezers?
so yeah, it's the same concept. Everything but from waxing, tweezing, threading, it's all pulling the hair out by the root. I get this all the time where people tell me that, like, oh, it lasts longer, doesn't it? And I'm like, no, but physically, scientifically, it cannot last any longer because you're still just pulling it out by the root. We didn't do anything below the skin to make it last longer. So yeah, it'll last the same amount of time as waxing, and yeah.
Will the skin, or not the skin, the hair, will the hair ever just break off and not come out of the follicle quite like you want it to? Or does that not a thing?
Could you say that again? You broke up a little bit.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
When the hair comes out of the follicle, when you pull it, that's a clean pull, right?
Yep.
Like, will the hair ever break off before coming, like, getting all the way out of the follicle?
I haven't ever had that issue with threading specifically. I mean, I've even done it to myself with a tweezer where, yeah, if you've got a janky tweezer and you grab and all of a sudden you break the hair and you can't actually pull it out, it is what it is. You just have to move on. But it can happen with waxing. Sometimes if the hair is really dry, wax can break. It doesn't happen very often, very rarely actually, but it can. So that's when people might see the hair grow back faster. They're like, what the hell? Like, why it's supposed to last longer? Why did it grow back in a day? And it's just because the hair probably broke. And that hair was just sitting right underneath the skin and it was able to pop back up. It was like cutting your lawn. Basically,
Right.
That's what happens. It's still growing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
We try our best to get it from the root.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. And then,
Yeah, and then
the other thing that came up in the girls' conversation at the little party was sugar scrubbing.
Sugaring.
Or sugar.
oh, sure, yeah, sugar waxing.
Sugar waxing. Yeah.
Yeah, sugar scrub. Close enough.
So can you explain what that is?
So I'll be the first one to admit I'm not super well versed in that one. I years ago got trained in it. I didn't love my training. I'll be the first to admit that. I don't know if I was taught right because it hurt my hand really bad to do it. But essentially same concept as waxing and threading. Again, you're putting a product on and you're pulling out the root. That's again the whole goal. But it's a different product. It's a combination of sugar and Andy, do you know what's a mixture of? It's just like this glob. It reminds me of almost molasses. It's really thick. You apply it with the technician applies it with their hand, and you flick it off with your hand. It's really interesting to see it happen. But yeah, supposedly it's supposed to be more gentle on the skin than waxing. Some people say it's supposed to hurt less. I don't believe that one bit because I had it done and it hurt so bad. But again, that was my personal experience. My God, it was painful. That's when I switched over to waxing immediately after that, and the wax went a lot better. But again, that's my experience. I know not everybody has that happen.
Well, I do have one question
But
about that, like the
mhm,
sugar and even the waxing. Like I was told, is this a myth or not? Does it come back lighter? Does your hair not come back as thick eventually?
potentially.
Potentially.
But yeah, that go again, it goes with all of these things where we're pulling the hair out by the root. If we damage that follicle enough, that's why that pinpoint bleeding is good. Um, that means it's probably going to grow back finer. It's probably not like that root has been just destroyed. So that's the goal, is to just keep damaging that follicle so it comes back finer and less. And that's why people want to keep waxing, because the hair it gets better and better the more you wax.
Okay, are
And
you
it
ready
gets
for a really
easier.
are you ready for a really nerdy question? So when I
Sure.
think of that, yeah, kind of geeky question. When I think of that, I also think of it damaging the sweat glands in areas. Is that
Oh, sure.
possible that that's happening? And if so, like, does that, I mean, that's affecting detox patterns for people, right?
Hmm.
Just curious.
I
Like,
mean, from the amount of I don't know enough about that, but from the amount of times I've waxed my own underarms and
yeah,
I'm a sweaty person, I'm still definitely sweating.
okay.
Haven't had any issues.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, personal experience. That's great.
Yep.
I've worked out with Rayann. I can attest to the fact that she's sweaty. She's
I'm a
sweaty.
sweaty gal. I
Rianne, you
told
and
you
I are the same.
that's why
I
I
got
can't
that.
wax all day. I get too hot.
Yeah, you have to go shower at lunch.
You know, Andrew's a sweater too. I
Oh,
wonder
some
if
days.
there's a correlation there, like, birds of a feather type thing. But
Honestly.
okay, real quickly,
Andrew is Andy's son, so anybody who's not sure what's going on there.
Andrew's my son, and him and Rayann have been together for 6 years.
Yes.
So yes. Okay, so real quick, I Googled what is the ingredients in sugar wax, whatever you call it.
Huh.
Sugar, lemon juice, and water, which are heated together to create a
Okay.
sticky paste.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
I knew it was super, super simple, but yeah,
yeah,
it's yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So if people are concerned about like what's in their product, yeah, that is a nicer route for them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Toxic wise, yeah.
Hmm.
Cool.
Should
Okay,
you should
yeah.
what happens if you shave between waxes? Let's throw that in there
Ooh.
too.
Oh, so the reason we tell people not to do that is it messes with your um, growth cycles. Your hair grows in 4 stages, and that's where we're trying to get the hair all on the same pattern, basically. So when you come in that first time, you get your wax and you go home, you might have some hair that starts coming out sooner, and not because of breakage, but it's because it's that new growth that is starting to come on. Um, so that's why we don't want people to shave in between, because that hair, you shave it and then you come back in. Well, it's not there for me to even wax it. So it's going to be the same thing. The next time you come in, we're going to wax, and then you go home, and all of a sudden, like, you have hair that's growing back right away. So I usually tell people it takes about 4 waxes, 4 consecutive waxes without any shaving in between, to get all of that hair on like the same page, essentially. So everything is coming in at the same time, and we can get all of it, because that's when you really get the most benefit from your wax, is when you're super consistent, and yeah, everything lasts as long as it possibly can.
Right. That makes sense.
Mhm.
When you
All right.
dermaplane a guest, does their hair grow back coarser or thicker?
Oh my God, no, this is a triggering topic for me because it drives me nuts
Yeah.
when people tell me that it's going to come back thicker or darker. Oh my God, it's not possible. People would shave
Oh,
their head if that was the case.
oh, makes sense.
Like if you, yeah,
They
if you
would.
really think about it,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I'd be waxing my eyebrows off again if, or shaving my eyebrows off if I could get them to grow back thicker
Yeah.
and
Oh,
darker.
yeah. Isn't that the times right now, right?
Oh my God,
Right.
right. But yeah, I tell people a lot of the time. So why people think that is because think back when you were young and starting, you're hitting puberty and you're starting to shave your legs. Everybody
Oh,
thinks, oh, I started shaving my legs and my hair started growing thicker and it got darker. And you're like, what the heck? It's because I started shaving. Well, no, you hit puberty and your body said you need more hair and it's going to probably grow back darker. So that's where that myth comes from is just when you started shaving, you happen to hit puberty. So everyone thinks that applies to everywhere on your body. If you shave here, it's going to grow back darker and thicker.
okay.
It's not. Unless you're going through some hormone changes, the odds are very, 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 very low.
Can I tell you?
Yeah,
Oh,
that
my
no.
sister's gonna hate me for this story. Maybe she won't listen to this one. I get blamed. I'm the oldest sister, right? So I get blamed because I was the first one to shave. So then she started shaving, right? Well, I had a tuft of hair underneath my belly button, that like blonde, whatever, just the hair. So I shaved
Yeah.
that. And yes, it is dark now. And I don't know if it would have been dark in the past or not. But she
Yeah.
also did. And she's like, I still have to do this because you told me to do this when I was like 12 or 13 years old. Is this what
Oh my
everyone was
gosh.
doing? Whatever. Anyway, so I get the blame of her having to shave. I bet every time she shaves her belly, she's thinking, like, gosh dang it, Josie.
Like,
It's all
oh,
your fault.
well, tell her to listen to this podcast.
I will.
She
I'll be
can
like,
she can
you need
find
to
she can
listen
finally
because
take the blame
stop
away.
resenting me for this. Yeah, this task you have to do every month or whatever. Anyway,
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
okay.
I love
Okay, I have
that. But
one
yeah,
last thing.
another
What
oh,
I
yeah.
have one last thing, Rayann. How many clients have you had that have done laser treatments and that have ended up coming back and continue and waxing again?
Oh, many, 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 many. I'm
And
one
why
of
is
them.
that?
It's so they used to call it laser hair removal. Um, well, people got mad because the hair kept coming back. So the terminology has shifted to laser hair reduction because the hair is still coming back. It might be less. It like for me, it was worth it in my opinion. The hair grows back a lot less, it's a lot thinner. But I still get waxed. There's still some hair there that I need to get waxed. It makes waxing real easy for me now. Before it was a lot more painful. So for me, I used to wax. It hurt. I wanted to skip that time frame of like waxing a bunch of times to get to that easy kind of waxing. So I went and did the laser hair reduction. Did that, worth it. But again, I still come in, I still get waxed. I come in, I do my every like 5 weeks, but it's just so much easier and less painful in my opinion. But, but yeah, the hair still comes back typically from laser hair removal, reduction, whatever you want to call it.
So, okay, so I did the laser hair removal. I went through the
Mhm.
sessions. I'll ask about one of the pieces later, but just a matter of like the amount of hair, it definitely reduced the amount of hair that I had.
Mhm.
But and they did say I needed to keep coming back. I don't know how often you would because you would still be hairy
I know
in
the hair's
between
still there.
sessions.
I
So
get
it
what you
didn't
mean.
it felt like I don't know if it would just keep getting less and less or if you just needed to power through for like do it consistently for like a year or I don't know how long it would take before you would get the least amount possible. It stayed about the same. Now you should probably just move on to the
Right.
next thing. I don't know. I feel like there's a pattern there that could happen. I don't
I
know.
know. I feel like there's a
Process
better
maybe.
way for it to be done. Yeah, but for me, it's one of those things. I did the, I don't know what, like 6 sessions and got good results. I was happy with it, but I knew there was still hair to get rid of. And with waxing, it's still gonna, with waxing, I'm still gonna keep damaging those follicles. So it's still potentially gonna grow back finer and less the more I wax. So I just skipped basically that window of where like it, you know what I mean? I jumped from having a lot of hair to the people who have been waxing for years and years who barely have any hair. So I just made it easier for myself.
Set it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that being beneficial, you know.
Mhm.
But I think it's a matter of like you've talked, Andy, so much about it depends on the person. So individualized. Like if you know like, hey, this is probably as good as it's gonna get, you know, you can either continue this or go back to your to what you were doing before, like the waxing or something. Like I
Mhm.
feel like there's a conversation that could be done there, like to know, you know, it'd be like me doing chiropractic, right? Like, hey, it's gonna take 6 visits. I don't know. And you know, same, they sell all these things in packages. So it's like you think you're done in 6, then, and you know, it's just
Mhm.
not the case. Like just a really good conversation
Yeah,
around that for people to get the results they're looking for.
definitely. I think I agree with that. It's just more of having a very honest conversation about the realistic expectations of it, because not everybody's a good candidate for laser either. So it's just being very honest about your potential results.
Yeah. I really should have went and got waxed after laser just to see if it was that, if it was better or
Yeah,
not. I didn't even think about it, to be honest. So
it'll
during
probably
laser,
be a heck of a lot easier.
probably. During laser, I did end up getting I think I did 7 sessions. Um, and about halfway through, I got a like dark, almost like birthmark look on my, like in my groin area. So I quit going for a while, because I thought it was changing the pigmentation of my skin. So I was like, well, I might not have hair, but now I have melasma down there. So, so I did stop doing that. And then eventually I went back. So I did not get the results that were supposed to be there, but that was on me, you know, for sure.
Mm.
Um, what do you think that coloring could be?
I mean, I have heard that happening
You
from
have.
other, not anyone I personally know, but like different forums online and stuff, and hearing that it can happen. I don't know if the laser could have been up too high for what your skin could have been taking. Andy, is that what you kind of
That's
think?
that's what I told her. I said I feel like and I again I'm not an expert, but I have done some laser training. Um I don't do laser treatments. I mean, I'm not a laser technician. I've not done that, but
Hmm.
I've done some training and yeah, I think that it was probably set too high for what her skin could tolerate. Yeah. Because
I will say it went
every
away.
body is different.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
fact that it went
yeah,
away, it
Andy's
didn't
totally right.
change the pigmentation, then it was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it healed. Luckily, you healed. I mean, to me, it
Yes.
was probably, since she healed, it was probably, yeah, like a superficial burn type of thought process.
Yeah, it's a little too
Yeah.
spicy.
Yeah.
Maybe. They use that word, spicy in there, that they're not wrong.
Yeah, I use spicy a lot. I like the term spicy.
It works.
It
It makes
works.
you giggle a little bit. So,
Great.
I
You
don't
can
know. How are we
distract
doing
from
on
pain.
time, guys?
Well,
Everyone doing
we
okay?
probably probably getting ready.
Okay, I have a couple questions.
Mhm.
When did hair removal start becoming a thing? Like, I mean,
When was it
we were
not
hairy.
okay?
We were hairy at one point, and
The
then
70s,
we,
the
you know,
60s, the 70s.
70s. Yeah, like when did like is this a fad? And will this go away? Do you think at some point where it won't be
I
as
think a
big of a
lot of
deal to be
women,
hairless?
I think a lot of women have really embraced the like all natural life, um, or they just don't care. Like a lot of people just don't care anymore. Um, I think most women do it personally for their own comfort at this point. Um, but
Cleanliness.
yeah, I
Cleanliness.
cleanliness, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, and um, one thing I wondered, because there was a point where no one looked at anyone else's downstairs, really, right? Like, yes, we
Mhm.
started showering in locker rooms, but women didn't have sports. Honestly, not even that long ago. Like my grandma played 5-on-5 half-court basketball in a skirt. Like that was, and she's 80 now. So organized sports was when we would have been showering together, right?
Mhm.
So whatever your sisters or mom did is what you probably did for a long time.
Mhm.
I feel like we're much more open on conversations about sexuality now than it was back then, right?
Definitely.
So what do you think started the hair like shaving for do you think do you think porn had
I was
anything
gonna
to do
say,
with
are you gonna
this?
say it? We're all waiting for you to
Yeah.
say it.
I was like, do you think
Say
porn
it.
and then the ass, like, then what guys maybe liked? I don't know. Like, I don't,
Yeah, I think a lot of women see that and be like, "Oh, is that what I'm supposed to look like? I don't know what anybody else looks like, but I know what that girl looks like. So should I be doing that? Is that what
yeah,
everybody
I don't
else
know.
is
I was
doing?
just,
Is that the trend?"
I'm curious. I'm kind of curious on who started that, if it was that industry or if it was just, you know, cleanliness. Like, I mean, that's a thing.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I've never actually thought on that too much, but yeah, now I don't know. I think you are probably right more with the porn stuff. Because yeah, people started seeing that in magazines and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's different. Or yeah, the comparison to yourself and other women, which is sad, like that
Yeah. I mean, that all
happens.
started
But
at some point. Yeah.
yeah.
Magazines. Yeah. You would think, like swimsuit editions and, Sports
Hmm.
Illustrated swimsuit. Like, how long has that been, you know, uh, um, the edition? How long has that been going on? I don't
Oh,
know.
totally.
But I don't think swimsuits, and they have changed over the years for sure. But
Yeah,
but they've always been. There's not a lot. I mean, maybe a little shorts at some point, but it got pretty high cut there for a while back in the day.
yeah.
Can I tell you what a Google says about when hair removal became trendy? I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of different things, but it does date back many, many, many years ago. Like 3000 BC, is what Google says. Like
Oh,
hair removal has always been a thing,
Dang.
except for a brief bushy period in the 70s. So sounds like sounds like really it's
Well,
kind of
you know,
always been the norm. And then, we embraced it for a little while and then it went away again. So
because and
ah,
actually, now that I'm thinking about it, threading, it came from like it's a Chinese method. Like that it's a
yeah,
very, very old method. And I think the same goes for sugaring. Like it was what, three ingredients?
yeah,
And I'm pretty sure I remember, like, if I'm thinking back to my textbook in SD school, like the Egyptians, I think,
yeah,
did a lot of the sugaring.
yeah.
okay.
But yeah, so
It
it's
all makes
old.
sense.
Why
That's
we did it? Comfort, hygiene,
actually, yeah. Yeah,
like
I don't know. Like everyone likes soft skin. It's just, I mean, it's a texture thing. We're tactile humans, right? One
Yeah.
point it was like you're hairy, so you're gonna stay warmer. So I like you. You're gonna live.
true.
And then eventually it was for pleasure. So skin, soft skin. Okay, well, thank you for humoring me on that. Just,
Right.
Anytime.
well, Rayann, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hang out with us. It
Oh
was
my God, yes. This
fun.
went by so fast. Thank you for having me. I could talk
Thanks,
about
Ray.
this stuff for so long.
Good, good. Yeah, you're
Uh,
very good at what you do. So, thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for sharing all your knowledge and everything.
Now get to work.
Yeah.
I
Okay, bye,
gotta
everybody.
go.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on the 010 podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and stay connected for more insights on a vibrant, healthy, and wholesome life. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram at 010 Retreats, where you can find our YouTube channel under 010 Podcast. If you're looking for a retreat, check out our website, 010retreats.com.